Hello everyone and welcome. I can see you all streaming through onto the presentation, so welcome. My name is Jackie Owen. I'm the Relationship Manager for the College of Law based in Queensland, and I'm also joined by my lovely colleague Anita Hall, who is a lecturer within the Practical Legal Training program. She also teaches into the Queensland course. So we're very excited to see you all here today. Also on the line, by the way, we do have our wonderful colleague Ellen Rees from our Sydney global headquarters of the College of Law Australia New Zealand, and she's going to be monitoring the chat today. And so if you would like to ask any questions at any time, you can pop those in the chat for Ellen, and she'll do her best to answer all the questions while we're online. If she doesn't get to those online, we will certainly go through those questions and answer them all after the event. So welcome everyone. It's lovely to see you from wherever you are. So we'll kick off right on time and go through lots of information about practical legal training, and then we will have some questions for at the end as well. But do feel free as we go along to pop some chat questions in the box. So let's get started. So welcome everyone. As I've just mentioned, my name is Jackie Owen. I'm the Relationship Manager for the College of Law in Queensland, and we've also got Anita Hall, my colleague, also based in Queensland, and she's a lecturer within the Practical Legal Training program as well. So before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we're all coming from. So each of us will be in different country. Right here sitting in Brisbane, I'd like to acknowledge the Turrbal and Jagera peoples, also known as Brisbane, and acknowledge the leaders past, present and emerging. So thank you very much for joining us from whatever land you are coming to us from. And we've probably got people from every state in Australia. So welcome. So today we're here to talk about practical legal training. It's the very next step in your very exciting journey into the law. So I'm going to pull up some slides and we'll go through those. But as I said, please do feel free to ask some questions, and as we go along, and we've got my colleague Ellen monitoring those questions, and she'll certainly do her best to answer those questions as we're going, but we can certainly get back to you with further information as well. So let's get going. I'm not going to be looking at the chat because I want to focus on you guys, and I'll let Ellen do that. So let's get going. So what is practical training all about? Let's start. That's our new video. So I was just excited to play it. And you might have seen a few familiar faces in there. Anita pops up there, much to her dismay. So we're talking about practical legal training and what that's all about. And practical legal training is exactly what it sounds like. It's the practical skills that you need on top of your law degree. So I really like this analogy. So university is about learning the theoretical foundations of the law, and it's very important that you have that base no matter what university that you've attended and what university degree you are working towards. Each of you will be learning those key and core theoretical foundations about the law. So you're building the boat. So that's very exciting. Some of you may have just started building that boat. Some of you might be up to the last few bits of the boat, and you're all ready to set out to sail into law land. So what we do within practical legal training, PLT for short, is we learn how to sail that boat through law land. So we are adding the practical tools and I guess also giving you the confidence and the competence to sail out into law land as an entry-level lawyer, and to be able to do that job, make mistakes in a safe and secure environment, and learn from those mistakes, and then hopefully not make them while you're out into practice. So I do really like that analogy. So hopefully by now, or maybe you're in the early part of your degree and you didn't know this information, and it's no worries if you didn't, but just having a law degree is not enough to call yourself a lawyer. And, you know, there's people with certain opinions about that, about, you know, how that's a good thing or how it's not. But, and I was having this conversation this morning at a breakfast, the profession is the legal profession is an ancient profession, and it has always had that sort of additional layer of learning on top of just your degree. Certainly, it's the first stepping stone out into the legal profession, and an academic law degree is a very, very essential step, and you're all part way or nearly through earning that degree. So that's a huge achievement of which to be very proud. But you also then need to add the practical legal training qualification, and it is actually a postgraduate level qualification. It's the Graduate Diploma of Legal Practice, and you learn those practical skills. So you're learning how to sail that boat on top of your academic law degree. You then all do have to go through a process with the admitting body in whatever state you are wanting to practice in to prove yourself a fit and proper person. Jump through a few hoops with the admitting body. Yes, we do know that is a bit of a process, but then it's a very exciting day. You'll get to your admission ceremony, and you'll stand up in the Supreme Court of whatever state you're going to be practicing in, and usually have someone that's moving your admission, and then you take a couple of oaths and you know, swear allegiance to the court as an officer of the court. So it's a very, very important day in a lawyer's career. And usually there'll be your friends and families and those who have supported you throughout the process there to celebrate with you. There'll be lots of hugs, and then you'll go bit of clapping, and then hopefully you go for a lovely celebratory lunch. So that's when you become a lawyer at that stage. And you'll usually apply for a practicing certificate from the admitting body in your state as well. You can, of course, as an admitted practitioner, work in other legal roles and other non-legal roles, and certainly go on to further study to become a barrister. But that's a subject for a different day because it is quite different in different states. So today we're just talking about that second step, the practical legal training at the College of Law. So we've had a chat to some of our grads quite recently, and they were saying, you know, what were the benefits of attending College of Law for you? And it came down to 4 key benefits: the flexibility, and that's probably the number one that everyone talks about. Lots of our students do practical legal training at the same time as working. Some don't, but quite often that our students are working, whether part-time or full-time. Sometimes it's in their legal graduate role, sometimes it's in other non-legal roles, because, you know, we've got to pay the rent and pay the bills, so that's very important. It's flexible, it works around that, or family and other responsibilities that we all have. It's also about adding the practical skills to their theoretical knowledge, so focusing on practicing those real world tasks that you need to do when you are in that graduate entry-level lawyer position. Our graduates also talk about how it did help them set up for success in the profession, gave them the support and the skills and the confidence to walk out into the legal profession from day one. And also lots of our graduates do like that. We've been around for a long time, so we're coming up, I think it's 48 or 49 years, I've lost track, but we've trained a heck of a lot of lawyers in that time, in that nearly half a century. And certainly even just in the last 1 year, we've produced over 5,000 new lawyers across Australia. So that's quite exciting. Most of the big firms within Australia partner with us to train their graduates, so we're actually embedded into their program. So we've done this before. We know what we're doing, and we're a trusted provider of practical legal training to set you up for success within the legal profession. The flexibility is very important, I think, and there's a few decisions that you do have to make, and everyone will make these decisions based on their own unique circumstance. So maybe what's right for you isn't right for your friend sitting next to you at university, because you're in different life situations and you have different considerations to take into account. So the first thing is whether or not you're going to do an 100% online or a mixed course. Now, if we were talking to you way back in the olden days of 2019, before a global pandemic, we would be saying, okay, so week 1 is face-to-face and you come into the closest college of law, or sometimes we've got regional intakes in some of the states, and you're in a classroom doing lots of practical cool workshops with a lecturer like Anita for week 1. And then the rest of the course is online, and you're working through a body of work and submitting that work with the support of your lecturers and mentors. However, of course, then 2020 happened, and we had to use the buzzword, pivot and move it completely online. So week 1 is still a workshop of very practical, we like to think fun workshops where you are on your feet, so to speak, practicing and doing the law. You're doing all sorts of a real mediation, a mediation, a mock mediation. You're learning how to announce yourself in court. You're mimicking the world of work by actually doing those practical things. That is still online in a Zoom situation, so not just sort of a one-way conversation, which is a bit like this. It's actually, we have 20 boxes on the screen of all the students with the lecturer. You go off in groups into different breakout rooms. You do some stuff, you come back in, you discuss it, and we're learning. So you have to be on screen because the admitting bodies want our lecturers to put their hands on their hearts and sign on the dotted line to promise that you were there the whole day, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. And we have to promise the admitting body that you were there and that it was an interactive situation. So you've got the choice now. I've talked to some ladies this morning at a breakfast that I was at, and they cannot wait to get back into the classroom and be face to face. So they're like, where can I do it face to face? Where can I actually do that week in the classroom? I'm not a big fan of the online. I'm a bit over that. Some other people are like, you know what? I find the online really quite convenient. Maybe they have to travel a little bit to get to a college of law. Maybe they've got childcare responsibilities and it's just easier. Maybe they just want to spend that week at home with the dog with business on the top and jammies on the bottom. It's absolutely up to you how you make that decision. So you'll decide whether you want to do that week 1 online, so the whole course is totally online, or whether you want to do it in a mixed or blended situation where the week 1 is face-to-face workshops with a lovely lecturer, much like my friend Anita here, and then the rest is online. So that's the first decision that you'll make. And if you are doing that face-to-face, there's 19 locations in Australia, so it'll depend on where you are, which country you're actually part of the country you're coming to us from. Another decision to make is whether you do it full-time or part-time. So if you're working full-time, I would probably recommend that you consider as a full-time employee doing the part-time course. If you're working part-time or you take a break and you're not working, there is also the full-time course load option for you, which is 15 weeks, so 30 weeks for the part-time. So that's totally your decision as well. We do also have a day and a night option. So most of our courses that week 1 do run during the day. So as I said, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. However, in a couple of the states and certainly in Queensland, we do an evening or an after hours option where we take week 1 and we cut it up into 12, usually 12 lovely bite-sized pieces, and we over 6 weeks in Queensland, it's Tuesday and Thursday nights from 6 o'clock onwards, and you do that week in chunks. So it's a good idea if maybe you've just started a new job and it's a little bit awkward to take that week away from your desk. Maybe there's something going on at work where you can't take a break away from your desk, or that just suits you better. And that one is all online and it's part-time. So that's a decision to make. And then which intake? So with the College of Law, if you just miss one or you want to take a little break after your graduation, you don't have to wait that full semester to come into the next intake. We have about 150 intakes a year across Australia. So that's a lot. So, you know, if you do want to take a little break, or, you know, something's not quite convenient for you, or you want to wait to the, you know, the next one for whatever reason, there'll be another one coming up. And if you go onto our website at collaw.edu.au/PLT, there is a button to find the next intake, and that you can sort it by state. So if you're in Victoria, click on Victoria and it'll show you all the Victorian courses coming up, or New South Wales or Queensland, or whatever state you happen to be in. Sorry if I've missed your state or territory. So those are the decisions that you'll make. So, you know, we had this conversation and with our grads, and was like, you know, what did you like about it? And it does come back to the flexibility, but also that it was really powered by practical skills, and they loved that they could practice in a secure, safe, supportive environment where no one was going to go to jail or lose their homes, or nothing, you know, money wasn't going to be lost, and it wasn't going to be any sort of tragic ending if it didn't quite go right. It was a totally, you know, moot situation they were practicing, but they could make mistakes and be guided to, you know, to know what to do when it was time to do it in the real world. So it's skills for life, lots of role plays, interviews, negotiation, courtroom appearances under the guidance of lawyers, barristers and judges across Australia. And I secretly think that the lecturers love pretending to be judges, and they get to be addressed as Your Honour in these scenarios. So, you know, I would like that too, actually. I think we should all be addressed as Your Honour at least once in our lives, for sure. You'll practice those tasks, and as I said, there's no consequence if, you know, there is an error and something to be learned. You'll practice it. No one's going to jail, but you'll get to actually stand on your feet, so to speak, and mimic that world of work. You'll get that feedback, and so the lecturers will be there to guide you and show you how to refine those skills, and you can put that feedback back into your work. Sometimes you will need to resubmit it, which isn't a problem. Probably most people need to resubmit something, but it's like at work. So your boss doesn't get a red pen out and write, that's a 9 out of 10, good job. They say that was really good. Now this is where you might need to improve, think about this, and then you're learning all the time. So it's very much mimicking that world of work. And then at the end of it, each subject, you'll have a review session. So a review session is a less scary name for a oral assessment, I guess, but it's when you sit down with your lecturer and you chat through and reflect on what you've learned. And Anita's going to talk about that in a little minute, and hopefully that gives you the confidence about those sessions, and you're not quite so overwhelmed or scared by them when you're actually doing it for real. Most people, to be honest, are probably a little bit nervous of the first one, but by the time they get to the second one, they know what's coming and what to expect and how to prepare for it. So if you're nervous before the first one, that's very, very common. Yes, we've got most of our, here's just some stats, 92.6% of our grads are finding work within the legal profession, and we have great graduate outcomes, but we'll get on to the real nuts and bolts and exciting stuff. I think I've mentioned a lot of this. So it's my friend Jessica, so another one of our grads who you know, who we asked about what her opinions was about the course. Okay, so I think I've chatted about lots of this. The other thing, the choice that you've got to make also is how you're going to do your work experience. So you have those decisions about full-time or part-time, 100% online, blended learning. Do you want to do an evening course if that's available in your state? But we'll talk about the different work experience options as well. We have 3 options for you, and it might be obvious to those who are getting, you know, oh, that's very much what I'm going to do. And some of you, you'll get a little bit closer to PLT and an opportunity will come up, and then that will help you make the decision. So don't feel like you have to make all these decisions right now. Even if you are in your final semester, you'll know what the answer is. So I think I mentioned that College of Law is a national organisation, and we have 19 different locations where, if we do teach face-to-face, and you can see where they are in your state. But of course, online, you can be coming from us from way in the middle of Australia, or right up the top, or right down the bottom, or anywhere in between. So that is a good thing about the online option. It means that it has assisted people with being able to have more choices of what course they do and when they do it. So that's kind of exciting. You've always got to look for the silver linings, don't you? Look, there's 150 different options for you to choose from, and I would jump on colelaw.edu.au/PLT, click on find a course, and then just to the left hand side of the screen will be choose your state, and then it's also quite conveniently divided into full-time or part-time. So if you have a bit of an idea of that, whether you're full-time or part-time, you'll be able to see all the courses we've got coming up, and they're up on our website through till about October, and then in the next couple of months, November through to October the following year, will be available as well. But we're not very we don't change things up. We're pretty steady with our courses. So if there was a good date this year in January that you think, oh, well, if they had that again next year, that would suit me, you can probably be reasonably confident that within a week, within a week of either side of that date, they'll be the same week next year. So we don't like to mix things up too much. The College of Law, we know that timetable works, so we stick to it. So let's talk about nuts and bolts, because this is the good stuff we all want to know about. So I like to imagine in my head 3 sort of different sections of practical legal training, and you need to complete all 3 in order to receive your completion certificate and your graduate diploma of legal practice. So let's just say this is day 1 of PLT. If you sort of replace in your head, in your mind's eye, where it says 3 course pillars, your name, pop your name there. And then underneath there's 3 tick boxes. So number 1, that number 1 circle is coursework. Number 2 circle is work experience. And number 3 is continuing professional education, or CPE. So throughout the course of the time of your course, between the start date and the end date, or shortly thereafter, because there is actually a little bit of time afterwards as well, you need to go tick, tick, tick to actually finish PLT, receive your completion certificate, and be able to take that through to the admissions board in your state for admission. So coursework is either, as we said, 15 or 30 weeks. You're attending workshops, you're completing all our compulsory subjects, and then there's 2 electives to choose from as well. You'll also complete work experience, and we'll talk about the standard format, the short format, and the in-practice component, which is the 3rd one that came about because of COVID. And you'll sign that off, and then you'll also do some CPE, and we'll talk about that as well. So what I'm actually going to do is just invite Anita momentarily I'll stop sharing my screen and Anita can share hers, but she's going to explain how this circle of life works within practical legal training at the College of Law. It's certainly, I think, a circle of life for general life as well. So we will learn something, we'll practice something. So that's where those practical real life legal skills come in. We'll submit that and receive feedback, and then we'll review what we did and how we could have done it better, and then we can put that feedback into our work, and we're learning and then practicing the improved skills, and then the circle continues. So let's hear from Anita. So Anita, I might just jump out of the share mode, and I'll glance at the questions in the chat while you're chatting, and Anita's going to show us. This is actually live on the College of Law system. And
yes,
she's
very risky. What could possibly go wrong?
Wrong, nothing at all.
So
thanks, Anita.
Thanks, Jackie. So on my screen, I've just opened up a property law subject just to give you an idea of what the course actually currently looks like. And so what you see, because the coursework component is completely online, this is what you would see when you started to do your property practice. So you've got a bit of information about what the subject is about, introduction to the things that you will be learning, and then the subject is broken into a number of tasks. So you can think of the introduction a little bit like what you'd be used to as your syllabus in your law qualification subjects. This is what the subject is about, and this is what you're going to learn. You can see then down the bottom here, we have it broken into a number of tasks. So task 1, task 2, task 3. Now that might look a little bit scary and they're like, oh my goodness, there's 3 things that I have to do, but these aren't 5,000 word essays, which you might be used to in your law qualification. These are analogous to the tasks you would be doing when you're working as a lawyer in the day-to-day business of being a lawyer. So for example, in property, we've got here the very first activity that you're doing is to draft a contract to purchase a property. So that is something that you would do or you would see and you would analyze on a very regular basis if you're working in that kind of area. And so that's exactly what you'll do. And you can see here that I've opened up that activity and that is broken down further into a number of different parts. So instructions, resources, case studies, and submissions. Relatively self-explanatory, but let's have a look at instructions. So the instructions for the actual specific task. Here is your actual instructions, which give you the information, all of the relevant information that you need in order to complete the task. So this is things like your client's name and address and date of birth and the property that they're purchasing, all of those nuts and bolts, very much like you might be given information from a partner in a law firm if you're working there. Here is a copy of the contract that you're going to use. So we've given you the template, we've given you the information, and this is the further information you're going to do. So here are your 5 steps that you're going to do. If we click next, we go to our next little page or our resources, where we have actually tailored and really narrowed down the information that you need in order to be able to understand what you're doing and why it is that you're doing it. Because that's really what we want to see, that you know what you're doing in the day-to-day business of being a lawyer, but also that you have an understanding of why it is that you're doing those things rather than just going through the motions. So you can see we've got some notes specifically on property transactions, specifically on electronic conveyancing, and how title searches work. So the titling information and how you're actually going to discover that information. And then we have what we call our practice papers. Now, these are really practically oriented textbooks. So they're the textbooks that we produce, that we edit and review every year. So much fun. Ask me how I know. So we make sure that it's up to date. Every year we go through that. And for you, for that particular task, we have then given you the specific paragraphs within this particular chapter, which are the most relevant to what you're doing. So the entire chapter is relevant, but if you really need to focus your study, or you really need to focus what you're looking at least initially to start getting your head around it, we have narrowed that down for you. So all of that information is there. These are all hyperlinked. That opens up a PDF version of the textbook that you can then print if you want to, or you can annotate on a tablet, or you can just read on your computer screen, whatever it is that works for you. You could download it on your phone and sit in your car reading it while you're waiting to pick your kids up from school, or while you're on your lunch break at your shift at, at the grocery store, for example. So wherever you are, you can fit that kind of work in, and that's the idea behind it. You can see that we've then also given you links to the relevant legislation. So all of that is already there for you. We then have case studies. So this is exactly what you think it might be. Here are some practical worked examples, and examples for you to work through with then worked answers for how to actually establish the things that we're asking you to do. And then, of course, submission, right? You upload the activity, and then I will look at it. So you've uploaded it by your due date. So you have your due date there. You've uploaded it. I will have a look at it, and then I will make some comments on it. Like perhaps, you might have missed the instruction here, you should have put in this, or actually that's not how this particular thing works. You don't have this as an encumbrance on title here. I give you some feedback and some focus points there. And if it is not yet at the level we'd expect of an entry-level lawyer, which is common, it happens a lot. It happens to everyone, I think, at least once throughout the course, then you could just get another chance. So I've given you some information about what you needed to look at, or where else you might need to look to be able to complete the activity to the standard that we need of an entry-level lawyer. And then you go away and you have another attempt. And that's what we call coaching to competence. So you're not left there on your own. All of the information is there for you to start with. And then if you need a little bit of further help to actually get you to that point, that's what we do in actually reviewing your work and submit and asking you to have another go. So you don't fail those particular activities. You have to get to that standard of the standard we would expect of an entry-level lawyer. So that's not someone who has 20 years experience, who can now draft these sorts of things with their eyes closed, upside down. It's the standard that we would expect that you'd be able to hand to a supervisor and they'd be like, not bad, let's tweak a couple of things. So that's really what we're looking for there. Once all of those have been handed in and they're at the standard that we need, you then move into that review session Jackie mentioned earlier, the oral assessment, where it's someone like me, possibly me, sitting on the other side of the computer screen and asking you about the things that you did, why you did the things that you did, why is it important that the client has that information, and where you might go about finding that information, or how to fix, what the consequences might be if you misadvised or the client didn't follow instruction or your advice, or those sorts of things. So it's really about the kind of conversation that you would be likely to have in practice. It's a little bit more gentle than sometimes you might find in practice, because practice can be fast paced. It might be done a lot quicker, but it's really about those conversations that you have with your supervisor about what you've done and why, what the consequences of those choices might be, whether that is the right decision. Maybe you need to consider a different course of action. And if you have done the activities, you've worked through the resources that we provided you with, you should walk into that assessment session pretty confident, because the questions that we're going to be asking you are drawn from the information we've already given you. We are genuinely not trying to trick you. Unlike, I know that some law lecturers love to put twist questions in their exams. We don't do that as a general rule. And that's really what it looks like. So Jackie, I might hand back to you.
Excellent. Now, I'm just sort of been looking at the questions. So yes, if you're a full-time student, you're expected, we recommend, look, and you can't say it's X amount of hours because everyone is different, but certainly we sort of say on average that it's a bit like uni, 30 to 35 hours per week if you're full-time, part-time, 15 to 17 hours per week. So hopefully that it is specific to each state. Now, a lot of the skills that we're doing, the practical legal skills, are obviously common across all states, but we give you practice papers and materials specific for each state. So that's why we sort of say it is probably best to do PLT in the state where you want to be admitted. So, and you know, some of the stuff like it is you know, is relevant to your particular state. So I hope that answers that question. You can get your work experience in any state. It doesn't matter. So if you've done PLT in Queensland and then moved to New South Wales to get your work experience, that's all good. Louise mentioned that her degree is a little bit in the past. Check, Louise, the jurisdiction and state that you're in, if they've got any stale qualification rules. We don't in Queensland at the moment, but a 5-year rule is potentially coming. And some states are 5 years, some are 10 years. I think, look, we've had lots of people do the program a few years out of law school and they're fine. And sorry, I'm just trying to skim through and answer a few questions. I think we've answered that. Great questions, by the way. I'll talk about payment in a minute, and I'll talk about, I'll divide the work experience up as well. And the structure full-time or one course at a time? Oh, that's a good question, Chloe, actually. The course you'll do subject by subject. So full-timers do 2 subjects at a time and part-timers do 1 subject. So I hope that's, sorry, I'm trying to, if we don't cover the questions in the presentation, we will, Ellen and I will get back to you. Okay, I'm going to go back to share screen, and I've got some slides that's going to answer a lot of the questions. So someone also asked a question about, do you have that first week being face-to-face? It's actually whatever you want to do. So before COVID, yes, we would say yes, it's definitely face-to-face. You've got to come to us. We do that workshop week, and then the rest of it's online, and you sort of fit the course in and around your life and your obligations. During COVID and post-COVID, we've got a completely online one. So you still have to be with us Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and it is full-time. So part-timers will do that week full-time unless you choose to do that evening option that I talked about, that where we snip it up into little bits. But let's just talk about the day courses. Week 1 is full-time, and you're with us either in person at a College of Law campus or a College of Law location, full-time for that first week, and then the rest is online. Or you are with us virtually for that first week. So you might be at your house or in your office, wherever you are, online, face-to-face in workshops for that first week. So you've got that choice now, and then the rest of the program is online. So that was a good question, actually. So if you are right in the middle of our beautiful country, you know, you're in Alice Springs, or you know, somewhere fabulous like that, or way up in Western Australia. We've had people do it on ships, actually, who are Navy. As long as you've got an internet connection, you can do that virtually. So you don't actually physically have to come to us or wait for us to come to you. So in Queensland, we would do Gold Coast, Sunshine Coast, Rockhampton, Cairns, Townsville and Toowoomba. We would send lecturers to those locations, but that was just twice a year. And now in those locations, those people can choose any of our courses because they're online. So I hope that answered that question. And we will go through the, oh, I hope I haven't froze. Can you guys still hear me? Can someone pop in the chat whether you can still hear me? Okay. Yes. Okay, thanks, guys. Oh, there I am. Sorry, my internet. I'm at home, so my internet might have just had a little fit in the middle. Okay, so that's coursework. That's tick box 1. Now let's talk about work experience, because there's a few questions about work experience. So I'd like to give that some time. So we had 2 options before COVID. Now we've got 3. The 75-day option is what we call our standard format, 75 days of work experience. And we have our short format, which is 15 days of work experience, plus an additional 6-week program, and that's called our clinical experience module, and it overrides the 60 days. If you're coming to us from the beautiful state of Western Australia, the only state I haven't been to that's definitely on my bucket list, it's 25 days of work experience, and you do a 5-week program. And that's because the admitting body in that state has said that that's what they want, and every other state has said that this is what they want. So it just depends. It is very much governed by state level. So when I talk for short format and say 15, Western Australian people, in your head, translate that to 25, and you'll do an extra subject, which is the clinical experience module. Now, when COVID came along, and we literally sat there and watched our jobs board go bip, 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 bip. It was quite tragic. Across Australia, we went to every single admitting body in every single state and territory and said, right, we've got to keep helping people. We've got to keep people in the pipeline to become lawyers. We can't delay anyone's dreams of becoming a lawyer because of COVID. Let's think of another option. So it's a 0-day actual work experience situation, but there's an additional subject that you do. It's an 8-week online program, but we match you with a mentor. So each course, so each cohort that comes to us, so whether, you know, it's you're on this full-time intake or this part-time intake, or in whatever city or area, you will have lecturers like Anita, who we just met, assigned to you as the mentor for that group. However, if you do this 0-day option, you get a second person who's just assigned just to you. So, I mean, they might have a couple of students at the same time, but basically that's a one-on-one relationship, and you do a body of work and work through that with that particular mentor, and we call that the in-practice component, or IPC. Now that one, it is dependent on, it's not College of Law's decision whether we keep running that one. It's very much the Chief Justice of every jurisdiction's admitting body. So right now, what I can tell you in April is that will run till the end of the year. So if you're coming to us next year or the following year, it's potentially not going to be available. However, saying that, it might get extended, but without my crystal ball working, it's in the shop. I can't tell you, I'm sorry. So that may or may not be available. But what will definitely be available is our two options that we always have had for a long time, and we will have going forward. So the 75-day option, now here's some exciting news. If you're doing this option, if you're working, and a few of you have mentioned that you are, you can actually retrospectively claim 60 days. You can 60 out of your 75 days. Ellen, can you just chuck in the chat whether that's different for work experience? Is it, do they have to do, is it 50 and 25 for Western Australia? I'm just not as Ellen is across every state, but you know, for every other state it's 60 days, and then 15 days can be done during PLT or after PLT, and you've got 2 years to actually complete it. So 2 years beforehand, so let's just say you were starting PLT in April, or let's say next month in May 2022, you go, can I find, like, here's May 2022, here's May 20, when we're all in our first lockdown and learning about this COVID stuff, seems a long time ago. Can I find 60 days of legal work experience in that period? If I can, maybe you can find 50, 40, 30, whatever, up to 60 days. Yes, you can claim those days. They can be at different employers, different firms, doesn't matter. You just do kind of a set of forms for each of those positions that you've held. So you could have done 20 here and 30 here. It all adds up. Now, the final 15 days has to be done while you're doing the PLT program, or you've got another 2 years. So you can see how it's sort of 4.5 years that you've got to do your work experience. Plenty of time. Don't panic if you've got no prior work experience. You do a reflective journal on the last 15 days, and you also have those forms signed off by whoever's supervising you. So it's not the College of Law signing you off, it's actually the lawyer you've been working under. So they will be an admitted practitioner themselves, and you will sign and they will sign to say that you've met the rules and that they recommend that you be admitted into the profession as a fellow practitioner themselves. The rules are quite broad and they're available on our website. And good question, Carrie, I'll answer that in a minute. And you can be a judge's associate, you can work in-house, you can work if you're working within a legal, like I've had lots of students like work at sort of PwC, Big Four sort of firms, and as long as that work is meeting the rules. So you need to be drafting documents, you need to be dealing with having some access and exposure to clients, working with a file management system and doing legal research. So you can see how broad it is, because there's many people that are on this call, they'll all have different jobs. So the rules have to meet you all. And then that practitioner supervising you is certifying to the admitting body that in practice, because of course we're dealing with the academic side, but they're sort of partnering with us and you to sign off that the actual work experience side of things. Now, if for whatever reason, and sometimes it's that people are working in a non-legal job and can't take 75 days off to do, because your work experience can be paid or unpaid. You can't take 75 days off to do an unpaid position. That's a bit unrealistic with mortgages and rent and bills and all those horrible adult things we deal with. So you can do a shorter 15-day version, or 25 days in Western Australia, and that extra program, and there is an extra cost to that because it's an extra subject with a start date and a finish date, and you do sort of a body of work to cover off those 60 days. And then the 0-day option also has a mentoring component and the 8-week program. So that's how that works. Kerry, you do not buy any textbooks. So students get really excited when I say there's no more trotting down to the bookshop to spend another $100 per subject. Everything is given to you either as online links, or you can also request a hard copy of our practice papers. But actually that's available for you online, and their review. That's great because we can update it more than once a year. It's always updated. So everything that you need is available on that back end program that Anita showed you. So it'll be, here's a task you have to do, and here's all the links to everything that you need. So no more textbooks, which, as I said, people get really excited when I tell them that. So, and people keep those practice papers actually. So they are quite handy. So hopefully backdate that work experience. So for past 2 days, 2 years. So some people put it in as they sort of do it. So say if you're a year off doing PLT and you're working now and you want to get the forms in, you absolutely can do that today, next week, whatever you want. Or some people do it retrospectively, sort of when they get to College of Law. It is your call. So I'll leave work experience for the minute, and I will glance at the questions. Some of them are, I work as a mortgage broker in our legal department. Peter, that's Peter Kiley, that's a great question. If your work meets the criteria that I mentioned before, absolutely. So you could be in-house. It does not have to be at a law firm. It could be working at a community legal centre. It could be assisting a barrister. It could be a judge's associate. It could be a legal firm that's just a sole practitioner and you're going in to help them there, but it's one person. It could be, a boutique sort of medium law firm. It could be one of the top tier. It could be in-house, could be government as well. So pretty much any work that meets the criteria and your supervisor is comfortable that it does, and we have some guides online, it can count. So it's very, very broad to cover all the different jobs that you guys will do. Excellent. Journal not completed. Some of them we might. Some of the questions are sort of specific, and Ellen and I might give my contact details. Some of them we might need to refer to student services, but and Ellen's online answering the more specific ones. So so we've talked about coursework. Remember, that's that tick box 1. And then we've talked about work experience. I was up very early this morning. If you're thinking I can't find my words, it was something like 5 o'clock. I had to go to a breakfast. So work experience is that tick box 2. And then here's the third tick box, continuing professional education. Don't forget to do this. It's sometimes the poor cousin that doesn't get as much attention. Now, we basically give you 10 modules of self-paced online interactive modules that you do. You put them all together, and at the end of them, you come up with a legal technology and business certificate of legal technology and business. So this is something that the profession said to us, hey, the grads know their stuff, their legal stuff, but the law is a profession. It always will be, and that's very important to remember. It's a profession with traditions going back hundreds and hundreds of years. It's an ancient profession. However, it's also a business, and you need to keep the lights on and be able to pay yourself and pay your staff, or have your boss be able to pay you. So we add those business skills, and then if you're interested in sort of technology in the law, connect into the College of Law's Centre for Legal Innovation, just celebrating 6 years. It's doing some fascinating stuff about how with technology in the law and new law and disrupting the law. It's really quite exciting. So this adds those legal tech skills as well. So you could do one module a week, just sort of every weekend to get through that, or as I said to a group the other day, you can Bridgerton them, which that was my Easter. I went 14 out of 16 episodes of Bridgerton back to back. So you can just binge it and work through one to 10 on a weekend. It's absolutely your choice, and you can add that qualification to your CV. So that will tick off your CPE. So that's the third part. Now, of course, everyone who's teaching you in the course are like Anita. You can see these are Queensland practitioners because it's my slide deck, so sorry about that. We do have other faces from around all the other states, but these are some of our gorgeous Queensland ones. Many years of experience and expertise in this group. So so Anita herself was a top lawyer at a top tier law firm for many years, and but then we managed to snag her away from being a lawyer. She's still admitted, and she does maintain her practicing certificate through pro bono work, which at the Caxton Legal Centre. So we're very proud of that. But her passion is developing the next generation of legal practitioners, and she does that full time with, you know, lots of legal experience under her belt in a previous life, so to speak. But then many of these other people are still lawyers or barristers or tribunal members, working members of the profession. So one day they're out practicing in the law, and then the next day they might be teaching for us. So they bring that dual hat and that experience of currently. So it's really great. You know, you might be learning advocacy skills from one of our barristers, for example. So they're a barrister and you know, they have that passion for mentoring the next generation of legal practitioners as well. So many, many, many years of oh, thanks, Michael. It's a new slide deck. We'll get to that. Thanks for picking that up. So many, many years of experience. So anyway, we just thought we'd mention that. Now, throughout the program, you've got lots of support. So our student liaison team is amazing. Our student liaison officers are on hand to tell you about the nuts and bolts of the program and help you with those admin things when you are in the program as well. So if you need help, you know, changing an assessment or doing a catch-up assessment or something like that, they're obviously available to you now if you have any questions as well. So you can certainly come through. People like me in your state. So if you're a Queenslander, I'd love you to connect on LinkedIn with me. Obviously, I'm more than happy to answer questions from all states. And if I can't answer your state-specific question, I'll touch base with my friend Ellen, who's online with us, and we'll get that answer to you. You also have our team of instructors, your lecturers, your course mentors working with you. And they're not there to trip you up and trick you and fail you. They're there to get you through the program. And that continuous circle goes along till your work is of a standard. So if you have to resubmit stuff every so often, it's not really a big deal, because sometimes, you know, your boss will go, oh no, actually change that, bring, you know, do that, add that in and bring it back to me. So it's like a real work situation. Someone asked a question about, Angie, no additional cost for the legal and the CPE. It's all included in your course. So that's a good question. Thanks for bringing that up. They're there to. So someone asked a question about doing full-time work and full-time PLT. Look, people do it. I think it just sounds really horrendous and stressful. Burnout, mental health, resilience, it's all huge things in the legal profession, no matter what state you're in. I'm sure you've all seen it talked about, heard it talked about, been to events. You know, I know that you know, the Queensland Law Society does a lot of stuff here in Queensland. I know that Victorian Institute of Law, like everyone does a lot of stuff. So be kind to yourself. It's only 15 weeks. Someone said this morning, your career in law is a marathon, not a sprint. Sometimes you have to sprint a bit, but overall it's a marathon. So be kind to yourself. You've still got to sleep. You've still got to maybe manage a family and a household, work, do the groceries, maybe wash your clothes, go and exercise, you know, go off and do some meditation or whatever's going to refuel you to get you through PLT in these first couple of years in the law. So be kind to yourself, but in the end of it is your choice as to what you do if you're working full time. And certainly we can chat to you about that offline. But your lecturers are not there to fail you out of the course. They're there to get you through and support and mentor you. And, you know, we can help you with whatever your situation is. We have 2 amazing career coaches as well. They're just available for our students. So this is Susan Pincus online. She supports students across the whole of Australia. She's based in Melbourne, and we've got another amazing person who started with us in the last year or so. Her name's Ruth, and she works out of Sydney, but they both work with students across Australia online. They do a lot of free webinars and seminars. So if you follow the College of Law Facebook page or our LinkedIn, you'll see that we promote a lot of free employability type webinars for university students, led by Susan and and Ruth, sometimes with practitioners involved as well. So sometimes your Law Student Society will advertise them. Sometimes you'll see them through the College of Law. So definitely you're more than welcome to come and join us for those. When you're here, they'll help you with interview prep, resume reviews, building your personal brand. So you can work with them one-on-one. We don't have a placement service, and this was a question per se, but we do have a jobs board. So we like to keep things, and look, to be honest, probably most of our students already have their grad role. I think it's about 80% of our students already have a role. When people come to us and say, hey, do you know any students? We are very open and transparent about it. We don't just go to certain people and say, hey, you should apply to this. We have an open jobs board where things have to go up and everyone has that same opportunity to apply. So lots of employers use our jobs board, and they'll, depending on what state, there's different opportunities available there. So check that out. It's on our website. You can look at it now. And of course, we connect you with employers and through our job board. And then we do have lots of networking events in different states, depending on where you are as well. So that's the support team. Now, here's some of our costs. So practical legal training, there's just one fee for the coursework and then one fee for whatever work experience option. So there's no textbooks. You don't pay extra for CPE. That's just all included. All the resources available. It's just the two standard ones. So if you are, so everyone pays their course fee. If you are an Australian citizen or have PR, it's $9,640. And if you're an international student, it's not double like it is at university. It's $13,910. I love that it's 10, not 910. That's quite an interesting number to me. So you can use fee help, which is the postgraduate equivalent of HECS. So someone asked about that. So you can, and it's like, you know, when you get your university degree and then you pay off a little bit depending on what to the government, depending on how much you earn. So so if you're not sure about that, maybe talk to an accountant about how that's going to affect your tax. Obviously, little old me, it's not qualified to talk to you about how it's going to affect your tax situation, but certainly you put it on your fee help, and if you're an Australian citizen or PR, and you can pay that off. Now, if you're doing the standard work experience format of 75 days, that's it. That's all you pay. It's very much about, you know, user pay here at the College of Law. If you choose to do, for whatever reason, you want to do that shorter format, so it's you know, 15 days plus that subject in everywhere but Western Australia, and the $1,500 is actually the everywhere else in Australia. I might get Ellen, if you're able to put the Western Australia cost for that. Sorry, I should have added to that slide. These are ones I usually use for Queensland. So $1,500, I think it's a little bit more for West, or less. Sorry, Ellen. And Ellen will put it in the chat. So thanks, Ellen. So it's about the $1,500 ballpark area for that. So you pay course fee and that. You can put it on your fee help as well. If you do that limited edition in practice component with the mentor, that's the 8-week program, that's $2,000. Online info says $9,460. Oh, Ellen, we might have an error in our slide. Thanks for picking that up, Kelly. No, Tim, I think it's less actually. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with Western Australia. I'm a Queenslander, sorry, and I don't usually do Western Australia. So yeah, Kelly, 5 core units is 4 core subjects, and your week 1 of lawyer skills is that 5th core unit. So yeah, so for that. I think, Kelly, let's go with what it says on the website. So 9,460, not that's a human error there, so sorry about that. Oh, we'll have those slides amended. You guys are great. It's a new slide deck. We've only just put them into circulation. It's only my 3rd time using them. So okay, so that's the costs, but whatever it says on the website, go with that. Here's what we achieved last year. I love some of these stats. Over 180 intakes across Australia, across 7 Australian states and territory. Over 5,000 people went into the profession. So someone says, is it more recognised to do PLT at a university? Look, there's many different providers, and I really encourage you guys to go and investigate what's available in your state and work out what's best for you. And everyone will come up with a different answer. And I've got some tips on how to make that decision, but certainly College of Law is not deemed any more esteemed or any less esteemed than a university. It's exactly the same. I think it's something like, I know the Queensland stats again, it's 70-something% of all graduates go through the College of Law. So more graduates go through the College of Law than any other place. So it's certainly held in high regard. We've been training new lawyers for nearly 48 years or whatever it is. So yeah, anyway, we've nearly 300 lawyers mentoring our students across Australia, and Ruth and Susan, the very busy ladies that they are, managed to see 425 people one-on-one. So that's just to give you a bit of an idea. Over 1,000 jobs on our job website across, and look, there's some good ones up there. You need to check it out. Now, if you come back to us for masters, and that usually sends a shudder through the crowd. Oh my God, more study. But people do this on average between 3 and 5 years post admission. Some people do it straight away. Some people do it in 10 years. It's totally up to you, but we'll give you 2 credits towards the 8 subjects. So you only have to do 6 subjects, which makes that really achievable. And it's a very practical master's program. That's a whole nother presentation. But just know that is back in the back of your head. We also do the prep program to practice in the UK and also actually New York and California. And then if you're interested in legal tech, please check out the Centre for Legal Innovation and the amazing Terry Mottershead. So great question on how to choose a practical legal training provider. Obviously, step 6 is enroll at the College of Law. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, having a little joke with you. But this, in all seriousness, these are the 5 steps that I would like you to take away and apply to your own situation. So which PLT is for me? If you're in Queensland or someone else is in New South Wales, you're going to have different options. College of Law is a national option, so it's available to everyone. And then in your state, you check out who the different providers are. Obviously, I can only list them for Queensland, but every state will have different options. So does it have regular intakes? Well, we have 150 overall across the year. It's when I say about, we've already added 3 extra courses in Queensland this year. So when we get the demand, we add another course. So do I have to wait 6 months if I miss it? College of Law, you definitely don't have to. Our master's program, Lauren, sorry, our master's program. So the dates are up there for the rest of the year. I think we've got more dates coming very, very soon. Certainly email into our student services if you're after any dates that aren't on the website. I know that Ellen's furiously working behind the scenes to get them all up at the moment. Okay, so study your way. How can I do this course? Can it fit in around my lifestyle? So College of Law, you can do it full-time or part-time, which is, to be honest, pretty standard. But we also have that evening course option as well. So yes, you can do it full-time. Yes, you can do it part-time. Yes, you can do it in 12 bite-sized pieces across 12 weeks. That week 1, you can do it fully online. You can do it, or you can do it face-to-face to get started, and then the rest online. So pretty much there's an option there that will hopefully suit you. That's sort of, making the PLT fit around you. A program you can complete quickly. If your goal is just to get to admission at the greatest rate of knots that you can, you can do it in 15 weeks with us. Now, there is an emphasis on you as well. You have to have all your forms into us when they're supposed to be. You have to have all your documentation into us when it's supposed to be. You have to finish the coursework when you're supposed to. You have to do your work experience and get those forms in. So if you're doing everything by that end date of your program and you've got tick, 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 yes, you can get through there in 15 weeks and then go on to whatever the next admission ceremony is that you're eligible for. And just remember, in most states there's a waiting period, so check your admitting body. In Queensland we have to have everything in 4 weeks in advance, but it's more in some states, I believe. Chat to friends and colleagues. We've been doing this for 48 years. We do 150 intakes a year. 5,000 people came through, over 5,000 people came through college last year. You won't go very far before you trip over someone that has already gone through college law. So ask them about that, where they did PLT, what their experience was. And then great question that someone had about, is everything local to that state, or is it sort of, one size fits all for everything? It's not. We've got local campuses in most states, or we go and teach there. And we've also got different locations. So Queensland's got a very, so some states are, it's sort of all happening in one place, but Queensland, we have pockets of the profession all up the coast from here to Cairns. And so we go and teach into those pockets, and they do it in other states. And I showed you that map before. Local content. So the skills in general, overall, the practical skills are, of course, there's a lot that's the same across the states. Interviewing a client, those sorts of skills are similar. But then, for example, in property law, where there's different laws in different states, yes, that content is very specific to your state and reviewed all the time. And then in each state, we have Queenslanders teaching in Queensland, New South Wales practitioners with their experience in New South Wales teaching in New South Wales, Victorians into Victoria, Western Australians, and so on and so forth for every state. You get the picture. So it's locals teaching locals. They've got local experience, local networks, local connections, and local knowledge teaching into each state. We do have an online guide. You can scan that. I might just go to I'll go back to that for you in a minute, but contact information, Queenslanders especially, but happy to field questions from all states. As I said, if I can't answer it, I'll find someone who can in your state. My email address is joan@collaw.edu.au. There's a double L in the middle there. And my LinkedIn is Owen Jackie. So please, JCQI Owen, find me on LinkedIn and add me. I'd love to stand up in touch. I'd also really recommend you following the College of Law on Facebook and LinkedIn, probably the two main ones, but we do have an Instagram and we do tweet apparently too. So Facebook and LinkedIn will have stuff like here's a free webinar on, I think there's a social media one coming up next week that I'm going to be attending. I'm not giving it, I'm attending it because I'm really interested in it. So building a personal brand and using social media to build your brand within the law. And that's a national presentation. So I'm quite excited about that. So you'll find out about that stuff by following us on whatever platform that you choose, sort of see what's going on. So there's the handbook. Sorry, as I said, I got up quite early. So I'm going to end the slideshow and come back to the questions. Let me bring my questions. And as I say, some of these we'll be able to answer now. I'm confused with work experience. If there's sort of something specific to you, we'll definitely touch base with you. Oh, Kerry, thanks. She's very excited about, you're very excited about starting later this year. Well, we're excited to have you, Kerry, so that would be great. Now, if you have got an overseas degree, and there's a couple of people asking about that, the first thing that, yes, you'd have to do is go to the admitting body in your state and they assess that degree and tell you what you might need to do. Benjamin's asking how long does an oral assessment take? Half an hour to 45 minutes, I do believe. Topics for the coursework. Someone's taken my, I think they're all online, Natalie. Sorry, I don't have them off the top of my head, but I'll email you. I can message you afterwards. But they're, property law. The electives are sort of criminal law, family law, admin law. So you can. Oh, one more thing I didn't mention, and there's questions. When can you start? Great question, and thanks for reminding me with that question. If you have finished your Priestley 11, which are the core subjects of your university. Now, different universities, and you're all from different universities, call them sort of different things, and they sort of all spread that core knowledge across different subjects. So I can't every university will have a different names for them. But once you finish your pre-C11 and you have no more than 2 electives left, you can apply to the admitting body in your state to come into PLT. So yes, you could, Harjit, start now if you're still at uni, but if you finish your pre-C11, if you have no more than 2 electives left, and if you get permission from the admitting body in Victoria. And yes, this is recorded, and we will be sending them out. Margaret, working in the field. There is the rules on our website, Margaret, and we can certainly send those to you afterwards. The rules basically say if the person is dealing with clients, using a file management system, drafting documents, and doing legal research. So that would cover. And we can certainly chat to you about that more offline. If I've not done my pre-C11, what can I do now to get most work done? Nothing, Alexander. You have to wait till you've done your pre-C11. The only thing that you can do before you come into PLT is that 60 days of work experience. You can be working on getting of those. So well, we are going to be respectful of everyone's time and sign off. It's 1:10. We've gone a little bit over, but thanks for hanging in and staying with us. Thanks for all your fabulous questions. It's a really big group, so the chat box is scrolling up, but Ellen and I will download the questions and get back to you. So thanks for joining us. It is recorded. We're going to download it. We'll get that uploaded onto a YouTube link and send it to everyone who registered. We are so excited to, sounds like we're going to welcome some of you to the College of Law in whatever state you happen to be in. So welcome in advance, and some of you will be a little bit behind a couple of years as you're finishing off uni. So congratulations thanks for joining us. Congratulations on taking an interest in the next step. All the best to those finishing off the last semester or a couple of semesters at university. It's a huge achievement to even just get through your law degree. And I encourage you to connect into all the associations and the support organisations in your state. So whether it's a district law association or a young lawyers association or a women in law association or a criminal mums, a family law association, whatever you want to work in, and you go to some networking events, meet some people, connect, register, attend, get to know people, as well as connecting to people on LinkedIn and online as well. So all the best. It's a collegiate profession. We're here to support you. The profession is here to support you. And we really look forward to you joining us at the College of Law and entering the profession. So have a good afternoon. Enjoy your long weekend. And we will get back to any questions that we haven't answered within this time period. I've just got to find the Zoom page so I can turn us off. I might have been still sharing. Sorry if I was still sharing. I didn't mean to be doing that. So thank you, everyone. Have a great long weekend, and we shall look forward to talking to you soon or seeing you soon. So all the best.